Fine. So this is our second session on the PL SQL. So in the first class, we discussed about how do we declare variables and sample hello world program and the blocks of PL SQL. So in this session, we'll discuss about some set of programmatical flavor kind of thing like conditional logic and iteration logic. We generally call them as control structures because the business logic will be iterated or conditionally biased based on the some set of business validation. Okay, the sequence may change based on the conditions also. That is why like it's called control structure. So and also like we have some set of like in like see, as we discussed earlier, PL, when language itself name is PL by SQL, it means that some set of business logic will be written SQL part. Okay, so those things also we'll discuss, but anyway, like while discussing cursor, we'll have a detailed explanation on some set of SQL cursors also. Okay, one simple thing is like there are many ways you can use when there are many like there are many variety of ways where you can use SQL in PL SQL. Okay, this example is one of the case. We generally call it as implicit cursor. So here if you observe, the syntax is, it is similar to normal SQL query what we write generally, but the only exception here is we have into clause also. So this into clause is used only in PL SQL. Generally, like whenever you're writing any SQL query, you will never mention into clause. But when you want to write a SQL query inside a PL SQL program, then you have to mention into clause. So the basic reason is, I'll tell you. See, now let us say, assume that we have written some query like select star from AP invoices all. Now when you write this query, what is happening? The result of this query is getting displayed in this particular query window or a query table region. In the query result area, the result of query is getting displayed. But let us say if you want to execute the similar query inside a PL SQL, there should be some placeholder who will hold the value. There should be a placeholder or a variable which should hold the value, so that you can use in that you can consume inside the PL SQL. So that is the reason it is into classes provided in the PL SQL. Let us see one sample which retrieves a set of columns for a given invoice ID. Okay, so what I want to do is, for a given invoice ID, assume that like invoice ID is this value, and I want to retrieve four columns or five columns. So one is invoice ID, invoice underscore number, vendor ID, invoice currency code, and any other. Okay, invoice amount. Okay, so now here if you execute, how many columns you're getting? We're just getting 5 columns. The same query I want to execute from PL SQL. The same query I want to execute from PL SQL and display these 5 results. Display these 5 column values. Okay, let us see how do we do that. Okay, so let's see. Let me save the queries. So I'll just save the query. This is my query, and the same query I want to execute it from PL SQL. Okay, open a new worksheet. One minute. Okay, yeah. So now I'll write my PL SQL program, declare begin and end. So now we require 5 variables. We require 5 variables to hold the values. Okay. The reason is very simple. We just want to print all these values, and the PL SQL should be capable enough to hold those 5 values. So what I have to do, first of all, I'll save my script, invoice details.sql. And now I have to declare these 5 columns like this: invoice ID, invoice number, right? And what was other things? So what I can do is the other way, the shortcut way, not shortcut, but so I just require all these columns, right? Invoice ID, currency code. Okay. One question here. Can I keep the data type for all of them as varchar? Will it work? Okay, let's see whether it works or not. So what I'll do is for all of them, I'll just consider the data type as varchar. Okay,
Yeah.
and see whether it works or not. Varchar 2 of 150. Okay, so for what I've done, I just declared 5 variables. Okay, now next thing what I'll do is now take this query. Okay, I'll just place here. If you try to run it, it'll give a compilation error. Just see that. Okay, now what it is telling, an into clause is expected. PL SQL error, and the error number is this one, and some error number and line number also it is clearly telling. The into clause is expected in the select statement. So here what I'll do is, the only difference is in the select clause it will be as it is. So in the into clause, I'll mention these things. In the into clause, I'll mention these column names. So it is not advisable to mention the same your like variable names as well as your query variables name as same. This is not advisable, this thing. So instead of that, what I'll do is I'll just prefix them v underscore. Okay, so not to have any confusion. Clear? It
Yeah.
will still work. Okay, it is not that it will not work. It will work, but so I'll just say underscore. Why this is not working? Okay, there's some issue here. Okay. Okay. Comma. Yeah. Select into clause. I'll just mention these 5 variables name, which are all varchar. Just see whether you get any compilation or no error. No error, right? Because varchar is capable enough to hold alphanumeric data. So that is the reason you're not getting any issue here. And similarly, what I'll do is now I'll just print them. Okay. I'll just print invoice ID for now. Can you see? Got invoice ID. Now let us say I'll try it with another invoice ID. I'll just
Sriram,
execute.
show me the full script, PL script.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Or shall I
Yeah.
minimize it? Got it?
Yeah.
15 lines. So what we have done is it's just similar to earlier things which we discussed. The only extra thing we have discussed here is we have written a SQL query inside a PL SQL program, and we know that like when you execute a query, it will provide you a result. So here in the select query we have 5 columns. Similarly, Similarly, you should require some 5 temporary variables which will hold those values. So you require 5 temporary variables to hold those 5 values. So now here what is happening, when you execute this particular query, it will return you 5 variables, right? It will return you 5 variables. So similarly, we have declared 5 temporary variables to hold those values. If at all, if you have a different, let us say in the select query, if you have more, if you have one more extra column, so then if you just have only 5 columns here, it will not work. I mean to say, now let us say if I just include or enable flag or something. Okay, let me just. As of now, I'm not considering dates. Okay, to just have some simple program. Assume that I'll have set up books ID also now. Okay, now we got 6 columns. So if I mention after invoice amount, if I mention 6th column like this, will it work? It will not work. The basic reason is in the select query, in the select clause, you have 5 columns, but in the into clause, you have only 5 columns. Sorry, in the select clause, you have 6 columns, but in the into clause, you have only 5 columns. So that is why it does not understand how to map them. Okay. Now, if you try to execute, it says some error. Usually a PL SQL compilation error. It is not clearly mentioned. Yeah, can you see? Not enough values. Got it? Now to solve this, what we have to do? We just need to declare one more variable like this. Okay, and
Okay.
this should solve the issue. Got it? Right? So this is how we can use a very simple select query here. And observe one more thing here. I'll just comment the where clause here. I'll comment the where clause. Now, if you try to execute this query, what will happen? Here itself, right? If you observe in the SQL query window, if you don't have where clause, if you try to execute, what is happening? It is giving you more than one row. It can be,
Yeah.
it will depend upon your system, but in my case, it is giving 1,20,000 rows. So now when you try to execute the same query from here, so obviously these variables can hold only one value. Any of the variables which are mentioned, they are not arrays. They're not arrays, right? So if you try to execute this particular one, obviously it will give you into exception. Just see this one. What it is giving? Exact fetch returns more than one row. Exact fetch returns more than requested number of rows. So this is an example of an implicit cursor, and it has to fetch only one row. If the underlying query, if it is fetching more than one row, you will get an exception of this kind of thing. But in later, I'll try to understand how to solve these kind of issues. But as of now, just whatever the query which you write it, just make sure that it will return only one row. Clear?
So we can't directly execute the columns. We need to pass through variable column names.
Means I
In
don't
the
understand.
AP invoice table, we have used the sum of the columns, right?
Yeah.
So that columns we can't execute. We need
Yeah, you
to.
cannot use it because the data, like a PL SQL cannot understand your database, right? See, in the database, you have a table. So
Yeah.
to understand the information of table, only select query can understand it. PL SQL cannot understand the table directly. So it is through
Okay.
SQL you can understand the database language.
If it is custom table, standard table, we need to pass through variable only column
Yeah,
names.
yeah, yeah. If it, let us say, if either of the table, anything, let us say you
Okay.
want to read a column from a particular table. So the only way to retrieve a data from a table is SQL query.
Okay.
So even PL SQL cannot read the value without using SQL query.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Sriram, can you explain this again? Exact fetch returns more than requested number of rows. I missed that actually. Can you repeat once again?
Yeah. So here, if you observe, right, when we are passing invoice ID, let us say I'll just re-execute. Okay. Now I am passing invoice ID. So as per our query, as per our where clause, it will get you only one record. So we are not getting any issue. Okay. But let us say
Okay.
if I comment out the where clause, what will happen is this particular table is having 1,20,000 records. So the basic thing is like when you have a select query with into clause, the query should not result more than one row. It has to fetch only one row. If it fetches more than one row, it just gives this kind of issue. Exact fetch returns more than requested number of rows. So this error it will return you.
Only for
Okay.
into class, this condition.
Come again.
This condition only for into class or any other things there.
No, especially for into clause. When you are using a select query with into clause, the query has to fetch only one row.
Hmm.
Okay, I'll show you one more issue in this one. Other issue is, let us say I'll pass some invalid invoice ID. I'll just pass some invalid invoice ID and just see what is error, you'll get it.
Okay.
Can you see? Now it says no data
Now
found.
that I've found.
Okay. So now understand, even if it does not return any data, or if even if it returns more than one row, you'll get an issue.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see that, like we'll see like how do we handle this exception, but when we come to exception section. Okay. But as of now, just try to execute the
Sriram,
query by passing some hardcoded value. Yeah, tell me.
can you scroll up a bit?
1 minute. Yeah.
Okay. So we are not creating any cursor here. Okay.
No, this is implicit
So
cursor. We are not writing any
implicit.
cursor keyword. This is a select query with into clause. We call it as implicit cursor. So
Okay.
we'll have a detailed discussion on the cursor, but as of now, just consider this logic. A
Yeah,
select
yeah,
query with
understood.
into clause. Yeah. Okay. So cursor will have a separate topic. Like I don't want to discuss much on this part. To just have some kind of interactive session with the data, interactive functionality with the database, like this is involved. Okay. Yeah, this is similar example. So PL SQL is capable enough to perform all CRUD operations. Okay, you can select it, you can create it, you can update, you can delete the data. And yeah, cursor I'm ignoring as of now. Okay, cursor I just want to have a separate session overall.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is same. Yeah. Now, so coming to the conditional logic. So last time we have discussed the current bill sample, right? So
Yeah.
now here if you observe, when you have a conditions, there is no limit to the number of conditions you can mention. When you mention condition, there like sometimes you may have a one condition, sometimes you want to have multiple conditions. So you can have if ls elsif so on so forth. Okay.
Okay.
So here if you observe, the syntax is if is a keyword, condition is your condition, like what are the expression you want to mention, you mention that, then is again a keyword, and then the statements. These statements are a PL SQL statement. It can be a SQL statement or a PL SQL statement. Then you can have, like here if you observe, we have square brackets, nothing but they are not mandatory. So whatever the things which are highlighted in blue color, they are mandatory. If at all, if you want to work with the if condition logic, only those things in this scenario here, if you observe, whatever mentioned in the if blue color one, they are blue color highlighted one, they are mandatory. Remaining things are like optional. Even the black statement, it is a mandatory. If condition requires at least one statement. Okay. So let us see one simple sample in this particular, like using multiple if and else conditions. Okay. Okay, I'll just say grade check using if. Very simple one, but understand the concept. So what I want to do is, based on the total marks, print the grade. Okay, fine. So initially what we'll try to do is assume that the number of total marks are 100. If at all, if it is greater than 30, we want to return it as pass, else we want to return as fail. So this is just a single if and else condition. Later on we'll try to modify more and more. Initially what we want to do is, we just have the total marks as 100, and if the secured marks are greater than 30, it is pass, else it is a fail. So that is what we want to consider in the output. So now what all we require declare begin and end. And the first thing is v underscore is total marks. Okay, total marks in our case anyway it will be 100, and secured marks, let us say we want to consider it 45 now, or I'll just say pass flag varchar to varchar to 1, single digit. Now what we want to do, first of all, let us print the information. dbms underscore output dot put underscore line secured marks v underscore secured marks, right? So what you do is when you're trying to write a program, always like write some of the statements and try to compile it. I mean to say do a partial programming. Don't try to write your total solution at a stretch. It will not work. The basic reason is like when you write a program, always there is a chance that you may miss some set of syntax. Okay, so the best thing is always write the program in a partial manner and try to compile it and again add up your logic and again try to do that way. Okay, now as of now we are able to print the value without any compilation issue. Now what we want to do is we just want to write the logic. So first logic is if v underscore secured marks, okay, I'll just say if v underscore secured marks is greater than 30. As of now we don't require the total marks. Okay, we can just ignore that. If v underscore secured marks is greater than 30, what we want to print, we want to consider the pass flag as p. Okay, is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, now let us say pass flag v underscore pass flag. Let us see whether this works out or is any bug. Now what it is printing, secured marks are 45, so it is printing the pass flag as p. This is working fine. Now what I'll do is I'll just apply the secured marks are 10. I'll remove this one, total marks is not required, so I'll just ignore that.
Sriram, yeah, after end if what we passed dbms or something flag.
Yeah, we just wrote this one.
Okay. Second output.
Yeah, now what is happening, secured marks is 10 and but pass flag it is not printing anything. Pass flag it is not printing anything. What is the reason?
Because of second mark less than 45.
Yeah, so to solve that what we have to do,
And we
And
and also we have
we
a
need
hard
to
coded
give
register
another
pass flag.
condition. If it is less than 30, we pass flag equal to f. We need to do.
yeah, so there are two ways of doing it. One way what I can do is while declaring itself, what I'll do is I assume that always it is fail. I will declaring it.
Okay.
So this is one way, but this is not the correct way. Okay, in this scenario it may work, but in the other case it may not work. Can you see? Pass flag is f now. Now I'll just say like 49, right? It will print pass, right? But the best thing for to solve the issue, what you have to do is you have a pass flag. Similarly, write else also. In the else scenario, what you have to do, v underscore pass flag is equal to f. So this is for the reason when if secured marks less than or equal to 30. Okay.
Why
But
this is correct way? Why that is not?
no, if at all, if you have only two conditions, if at all, if let us say if you have only one condition, just during assignment you can do it. But later on, let us say today, as of now, we're just considering only two conditions. But later on, let us say you want to have 3 grades.
Okay.
Grace, let us say pass, fail, and grace. Then what you
Okay.
do? Your conditions has to be changed. Again, the other reason is when you're assigning a value at this place, so there is a chance that you may what will happen is you may because of some business logic mistake, whatever it is there, it will just consider that value. That is another issue. Assume that due to some mistake within your if and else condition, this logic was not getting executed, but in the result this will be passed. But in the result this will be passed. What will happen? So your total program will be mistaken because of this value.
Yeah.
So that's a reason.
But Sriram, is this the correct way to pass the value in a declare section?
No, see, as of now, whatever the logics we are this anonymous block, right? So first of all, like nobody will hard code the secured marks, right? So we always expect the secured marks has to be passed from your business. So
Okay.
to just statically we are just hard coding the values and we are trying our business logic, but in real time what will happen is the user has to provide the input, right? Like maybe you may retrieve in the input from the page or from a third party system or from the file. It could be multiple
Correct.
scenarios. So yeah. Okay.
In that way, how we will specify that?
Yeah, in those scenarios your store programs will come into picture, right? Like generally when you are trying to linkage with your third party system, always it is through stored procedures. So your
Okay.
procedure or a function will have input parameter, and based on the input parameter it will send out the output parameter.
Right.
So 80% of the logic is just same. Only thing is the way you're returning the values or the way it calls your program will differ. That's the only difference. Remaining is just your anonymous block is as similar to your procedure or a function. You don't find much difference in the coding. Okay. Only thing is the create statement and the parameters are missing. The remaining is just as similar to that.
And always we'll declare parameters in store procedure only, right?
No, means what do you mean?
Parameters. So let's say for a program, let's say if
The parameter,
anything user.
so parameters is a generic term. Parameter, when you say parameter, it is generic term. The reason is very simple. So now whatever I have declared here, I can yeah, okay, I'll tell you the other way. So now generally when you create a procedure or a function, so a procedure or a function can have in or out parameter. Okay, so whatever the things which are passing to the stored program, we generally call them as parameters.
Parameters.
But now in our program, this particular anonymous block logic, whatever we're doing, we generally call as temporary variables, right? Little bit different, temporary variables, but
Yeah.
technically they are same. Technically, you don't find much difference. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just see one more sample in a similar one. Let us say validation of a final bill based on discount. Okay. Assume that there are 3 ranges or 4 ranges. 4 range of discounts. So one is 1000 slab, 2000 slab, 3000, 4000, and the 5000. I mean, yeah, above 4000. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to calculate the discount for a particular sales order invoice. Based on that, we want to calculate the discount. Okay. Now declare begin end. So v underscore amount number, v underscore discount number, v underscore final amount. Now what we want to do is the amount, assume that the amount is equal to 1000. So if it is 1000, if it is greater than or equal to 1000, it is 10%, 20%, 30%, and 40%. That's how we want to calculate. Okay. So if v underscore amount is less than or equal to 1000, okay, then what I want to do is I just want to consider the discount as 10%. Assume observe here carefully the less than or equal to symbol, right? V underscore amount. Yeah. If it is less than or equal to 1000, then the discount is 10%. Similarly, we'll calculate the other functionalities also. For now, I'll just calculate the amount like this. V underscore amount is equal to amount minus V underscore discount into V underscore amount by 100. Okay. Final amount is equal to, and also I'll just mention discount also. Clear?
Yeah.
So what are we getting now? In this scenario, the amount was 1000, discount we got 10%, and we got the amount as 900.
Yeah.
Okay. Similarly, let us calculate the remaining portions now. So now assume that if at all the amount is 2000, we want to apply 20% discount. Let us say if the amount is 2,500, we want to apply like 30% discount, something like that. So let us do that. So we require 3 more conditions, right? 1,
Yeah.
2, and 3. So what I'll do? So just observe the difference. ELSIF. Okay. For else if it is ELSIF,
Yeah.
if the amount of the value is greater than 1,000, observe the difference here. Make sure that you include the proper ranges. Okay.
Yeah.
Between and end, all those things. So based on the business logic you have to perform. Yeah. So if the amount is greater than 1,000 and less than or equal to 2,000, I want to apply 20. And similarly, let us take this one and we can, okay. If it is greater than 2,000
2000.
and less than or equal to 3,000,
3000.
yeah, 30. And here we can, I think we can apply if it is,
More
okay,
than 3000.
yeah, we can just have more than as 3,000, right? More than 3,000, you can just say 40%, right?
Yeah.
Clear? Got it? Now try to re-execute, just change the value. I'll just say 5,000. So for 5,000, the discount should be 40%.
Yeah.
So 40%, nothing but 2,000 should be deducted, nothing but you should get the final amount as 3,000. Got it?
Yeah.
And let us say, assume it is 4,000 now. So for 4,000, what will happen? The same thing, right? Like 1,600 you'll get it, and 2,400 it has to print it. Right? Maybe let us say I'll apply the other one.
Sriram, and the mathematical expressions will execute from left to right, right? The precedence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here in the v underscore VA wrote this expression, right? That will execute from left to right, right?
Yeah, it will be
First it will
executed.
divide by.
Yeah, left to right. Yeah. See, other thing is it is an and, right? So obviously two statements has to be executed. I mean, okay, no. I mean to say obviously it is from left to right now. Left to right. Yeah. Okay. So this is how we can make use of, like a multiple if and else condition. You can have n number of lists. It can go on. Clear? The only problem generally come across is like a syntax issue. If then, ELSIF then, and if. Okay, you have to just make sure that you remember these syntaxes. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Similar example, you have it like if salary is greater than some value, and then just you're printing something. Okay.
What is
Now,
it? 9,2 salary number
1 minute. Which one? Yeah.
declare.
Yeah. 9,2 is nothing but like here. If you remember, right, last time when we considering the declaration of variables for number, it doesn't need to mention the precision. If at all, if you mention the precision, you can mention like how much floating you want to have it. Nothing but in this one, 9,2 means that the total number of digits can be 9, but the precision should not exceed 2, including precision value. Now let us say, I'll just show you the example, then you can understand. This is generally used it whenever you want to consider the exact precision for a numeric variable also. Okay. Okay, let us print it. Okay. Okay, I'll just say 1.2 and just see whether it works or not. Then you can try the other one. DBMS output put underscore line. What is the mistake?
94 must be
Yeah, this is.
BMS.
Okay, now it just printed 1,2. Now let us say if I just want to mention the floating as 3 digits. What I mentioned 1.234 I mentioned. What it is happening? The 4 got truncated. The 4 got truncated. And just observe one more thing. 5 and 6. So the total number of digits are 6 now.
Yeah.
Still, like it is not giving any issue, but it is just simply truncating it. It's not even performing, like what do you call the ceiling one. Just see this again. 1.26. Okay, it just ignores the value. Now, other thing, let us say I'll mention 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, what is happening? Or let us say, I'll mention dot 10. Can you see?
Number position too large.
Yeah. Okay. Observe here again. Now I have 5 numeric digits and 2 floating digits. 1 minute. I'll just re-execute. Again, it says number percent too large. Let us say
Why? Why it's giving the error?
you still have 2 digits. Like, see what is happening now is floating digit. You're expecting 2 digits always. So nothing but out of total 5 digits, you're expecting 2 digits as floating digit and 3 as your numeric digit. 3 digits as a
Yeah.
numeric and 2 as your floating. So the maximum value it is allowed is this one only. Can you see? Now, but in the floating, whatever you mentioned, let us say in the floating, even though when you're mentioning more than the 2 digits, it is simply truncating it. It is not giving any error. It is just simply truncating it.
But before we ran right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dot. That time it's given right output.
Just see again. Okay. Now let us say I mentioned total 5 digits. I
Yeah.
mentioned total 5 digits. Sorry. Okay. Or let us say what I'll do is I'll just make it a 0. Same error, right? Or what I'll do is I'll just totally remove the floating now. So at max I have only 5 digits, but you just see observe again. It is still giving same issue. So the basic thing is at max it supports only 3 digits of numeric, not more than that.
Yeah, but Sriram, just
Totally
a
5
while
digits
ago,
only.
Sorry.
before while ago, it was giving a output, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have given 1, 2, 1, 6, something. So it was giving output.
If it works, it should work
Yeah.
every time. See, if it works, it has
So
to work every time, right?
No,
you saw
Gautam question
the
was also same.
yeah. You saw the Twinkie.
Yeah, even I saw that. Correct.
Something given
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
this is
dot 1, 2,
strange,
3,
but
4.
yeah, we saw that, yes. So we
It's
have
given
given,
only 1.23. It given.
See, maybe this way you're saying like you're meaning like see floating. There is no floating. Whatever you give it, it will work. Floating, whatever you give it, it will work. But at runtime, it will just consider only 2 digits. That's a funda. Floating, it will work. The numeric will not work. The numeric it considered maximum as 2 digits only, 3 digits only.
No,
In this,
numeric also we given 6 digit. I think so.
no, it will not work.
then we seen something different. Okay, leave it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so in the control structure, like we have considered if and else, right? There is something similar to if and else that is called, like a case condition, case expression. In C language or Java language, you have something called switch condition. So, but here we call it as case condition. Okay. See, it is just exactly similar to your if else, but it does not have a range comparison. I mean to say, earlier what we have done using our if else, we have mentioned less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, like that. But using case expression, you cannot do that one. Using case, you
When is
cannot
the
do.
case expression?
Uh,
When
yeah,
case when
this is preferred when you have a exact values. I mean to say, let us say if the value is specific value, nothing but there is no range involvement, then you prefer to use this one.
oh,
So it's just similar to that. Only thing is the syntax is a little bit different and does not support range. So okay, I can just copy the same example. now what it is doing, it just says grade is
Yeah.
A. So
Yeah.
grade is A because the salary was 25,000. So it is exactly matching 25,000. Now let us say if I mention,
Without range, we are
yeah,
comparing means in that case we
yeah,
can.
yeah. Now in this case, what will happen? The salary is 55,000, but still the grade it will print it as C. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is generally this is also used, but very rarely.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So we have some interesting topic called loops. Shall we discuss now or shall we discuss in the next session?
Discuss which
It's a very
section.
important one, but I mean, we will be, working on these loops iteratively.
Yeah.
Like any
Tomorrow
program,
morning we'll take
whenever
this
you
session.
whenever you write any PLSQL program, obviously it involves loops. That's that much important it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we'll do is like we'll stop here, and maybe in the next session we'll discuss with the loops, and then we'll discuss of the cursor and like so on. Okay.
Okay.